Everyone, welcome to Top Things You Need to Know About Every Rotarian Every Year. My name is Amanda Runge, and I am an annual giving officer with the Rotary Foundation. I will be moderating today's session and gift officers Christine Grodecki, Chad Stutzman, Chris Boyce, and Elizabeth Lazar, who are helping with questions. As you may already know, during November, Rotarians around the world celebrate the good works of the Rotary Foundation. Gifts to the Rotary Foundation funds high-impact, sustainable solutions to pressing needs around the world through projects directed by Rotarians. That means you and your fellow members are the best equipped ambassadors of the Foundation. We are joined today by two panelists who will provide some tips and ideas for how you can support, promote, and engage with the Rotary Foundation, not only during the month of November, but also during the entire year. Past District Governor Sandy Schley from the Rotary Club of Edina, Minnesota, USA, and past District Governor Eric from the Rotary Club of Pine Rivers Daybreak in Queensland, Australia. Welcome.
Greetings. Welcome.
Yes, good morning. Thanks, Amanda.
During today's webinar, you will hear an update from staff on Every Rotarian Every Year, or EREY, hear from two Rotarians about why they support the annual fund, and learn tips for increasing giving in your club. Before we get started, let's review how to ask questions in today's webinar. You have a control panel on the upper right corner of your screen that looks similar to the one here. Use the orange arrow, indicated with a red circle, to open or close your control panel. To ensure the best possible audio quality, all attendees are muted. To ask a question or make a comment, please use the question pod, indicated here with the red square. If you're having any technical difficulties with the audio or something else, just use the question pod to describe the problem, and a Rotary staff member will assist you. Now let's take a moment to use the question pod. Please type your name and your current location where you're joining us from today. Wonderful. I see we have people from Jamaica, New Mexico, California, India, London, and even Wales. Welcome. I'm so glad so many people could join us all over the world. Before we begin, let's take a quick poll. Has everyone in your club contributed something to the annual fund? Please select the answer that applies to you and click Submit. If you are on an iPad, please respond via the question pane. It seems we have a pretty good yes response and 61% not yet, but we are early in the year. Before we really get into what Every Rotarian Every Year is, I want to talk briefly about the annual fund. Contributions to the annual fund are used to fund local and international humanitarian projects. Through the annual fund, Rotarians have changed and saved lives. We help women like Doña Remigio, a weaver who is supported by a microcredit loan from the foundation. So what does your gift to the annual fund do? Rotarian-driven projects created at the local level by a member base of 1.2 million are developed to meet the true needs of the community. By supporting the annual fund, you are directly supporting Rotary's good works. And Be assured that your contribution is also properly stewarded. Rotary funding is monitored on many different levels. Funds are overseen by Rotarians, clubs, districts, and Rotary staff. The impact of the Rotary Foundation is dependent upon you. Your support of annual fund share translates into the district and global grants used by your club to help fund those projects that change lives. So just what is Every Rotarian Every Year, or EREY? EREY was started as a campaign to increase continued support to the Rotary Foundation's annual fund. It has a simple concept. If every Rotarian contributes something to the annual fund every year, there would be nothing the foundation couldn't accomplish. This is a picture of Rosette and her siblings preparing dinner at their home in Uganda. Rosette is the oldest of 4 siblings. The family was living alone until the Rotary Club of Calenzio stepped in to support them. The project, a joint effort with the Rotary Club of Rome, paid for a caregiver to stay with the children and helped purchase school supplies, cover medicines, and fund many other necessities. This is why it is so important to support the annual fund on a consistent basis. If every Rotarian contributes something to the annual fund every year, more people around the world could be helped through life-changing projects. Having a healthy and strong annual fund is important because it's what allows Rotarians around the world to keep doing good through local and international projects. Last year, Rotarians and Friends of Rotary contributed over $1.2 million to the annual fund. I'm so sorry. We contributed over $123 million to the annual fund. We thank everyone for their great support, and we are happy to report that as of 30 September, Rotarians worldwide have contributed $21 million to the annual fund so far. As club and district leaders, you can help us ensure that contributing to the annual fund is at the front of every Rotarian's mind. When I ask people why they support the Rotary Foundation and the annual fund, many say they give because your foundation is the only organization they know of where you can get back as much as you give. The vast majority of annual fund contributions are to annual fund share, and that is because it offers a unique funding cycle that provides money directly to your district to fund your projects. First, your contributions are invested for 3 years. During that time, the investment earnings have been historically used to pay for the administrative and operational expenses of the foundation. At the end of 3 years, that money is available to fund your projects. 50% of contributions come back to your district through District Designated Funds, or DDF. This is money your district can use to help fund your local and international projects. The other 50% goes to the World Fund and is used to fund other foundation programs or at the trustee's discretion. The World Fund is the source of Rotary International's match for your global grants. Therefore, the funds you have access to this year are the result of your contributions 3 years ago. Many of you may already be familiar with Rotary's individual recognition levels, but recognition is not just limited to individuals. Working towards achieving 100% Paul Harris Fellow or 100% Giving Club banners can be a powerful incentive to help your club achieve its giving goals. If you're not sure where your club currently is in terms of achieving a banner for the 2015-16 year, the Every Rotarian Every Year eligibility report available on Rotary.org is a great way to track your club's progress towards earning a banner. We'll send out instructions for navigating towards this report after the webinar. Before PDG Sandy talks about why she supports the annual fund, let's take another poll. Have you contributed to the annual fund this year? Again, please select the answer that applies to you and click Submit. If you're on an iPad, please respond via the question pane. Wonderful! 76% of you have. Thank you so much for your contributions. Before we get into the details of just what your gift to the annual fund can accomplish, I'd like to welcome PDG Sandy Schley to share why she supports the annual fund. Sandy?
Thank you, Amanda. I've chosen 5 words to explain why I support the annual fund. First, blessed. Having traveled to many locations where District 5950 has sponsored international projects, I've had a chance to see firsthand how blessed. Through the Rotary Foundation and our district and global projects, we are making a difference in the lives of others. Learning to know those whom we are serving and hearing their expressions of thanks, sometimes in community celebration, makes me know how blessed I am and encourages me to be more supportive of our foundation. Thankful. I'm also thankful for what I've learned from Rotary, the leadership training and the opportunities that I have had, and the investment made by our organization in my own personal development makes me know that supporting our foundation is my way of saying thanks. Impact. I appreciate the impact that Rotary and the Rotary Foundation are making in the impact we have made in terms of eradicating polio. Just last weekend, for example, the I-35 bridge in downtown Minneapolis, Minnesota, the one that collapsed just a few short years ago, was lit red and gold to highlight Rotary's commitment to eradicating polio and also potentially finding new and scientific methodologies for fighting all disease. When I see what we are doing, and I know this impact is the result of combined gifts to our foundation, it makes me want to also support the foundation. Focus. The 6 areas of focus that the Rotary Foundation has are also helping each of us as Rotarians and our clubs focus our giving. In District 5950, we've had an ongoing emphasis and focus on safe water and sanitation projects for many, many years. The public ablution blocks that I've seen in the Mathare Valley of Kenya, outside of Kenya, Africa, have provided safe water, sanitation, employment, and a safe haven for young girls and women, making me know that this focus helps our district Rotarians collaborate and combine their resources to support all foundations in a life-impacting way for the recipients of our gifts. Commitment. Finally, I see the commitment of my friends, fellow Rotarians, and members of the community, many of who are not Rotarians, who see what our foundation is accomplishing, and they all want to contribute. They want to support a commitment to our foundation, and I'm proud to support that commitment as a major donor, a member of the Paul Harris Society, a participant in Rotary projects and travel grants, and a community advocate to support our foundation on an ongoing and annual basis. When it comes to encouraging others to support the annual fund, the best stories comes from a personal ask, but a personal ask grows out of goals. District goals are very important. Here in District 5950, we have an annual goal of $365 per Rotarian per year. That's $1 a day. We also have a goal that each club contribute $1,500 to $2,000 to our End Polio Now campaign. And during the 3-year term that I have had as our District Rotary Foundation Chair, we also have made a commitment to getting 300 Rotarians to become Paul Harris Society members. We're on target to meet that goal soon, as we currently have members with whom we will celebrate on Thursday evening and let them know how important they are to our success. The second word I've chosen is team. It's important to have this individual ask, and it makes people feel comfortable. A team is key to successfully implementing goals. In our district, we have a 20-member District Rotary Foundation Committee that's divided into 2 operating units, fund development and program. The fund development piece addresses the annual campaign, Paul Harris Society, major donors, the End Polio Now campaign, and the Endowed Fund and Peace Fellows. The programs piece includes grants, both district and global, district scholarships, peace fellowships, and vocational training teams. Over and above this, we have a treasurer, compliance officer, and PR communications public image chair, who is our representative to our district counterpart for public image and PR communications. So it's a big group of people, all of whom are committed early on to our success on an annual basis and who carry that message out into our district. Communications, as I've already alluded to, plays a really important part in terms of our level of support and encouragement, and it keeps everyone focused. Our communications are sent to Rotarians and non-Rotarians alike in regular communiques via email, via newsletters, thank you notes, special recognition events, and special end-of-year appreciation that includes an annual report, which we call our Rotary Success Bulletin. It highlights our fundraising success and also our projects, and that bulletin is used then as a handout during the following year. Finally, appreciation. We can never say thank you too many times, and we look for every opportunity that we can in District 5950 to say thank you to our less than 3,000 members who gave in the past year $2 million to the annual fund. That's what a thank you does.
Thank you, Sandy. And thank you, all of you. We see that there's a lot of questions, and we will definitely be getting to them in just a couple moments. The Rotary Foundation is your foundation. Make it your charity of choice. There are Rotarian-driven projects that are created at the local level by Rotarians who live and see the needs of the community every day. Most other organizations are not able to see the true community need, but with 1.2 million Rotarians, projects are developed that meet the true needs of the community because Rotarians on the ground see these needs daily. Diligent oversight of funds. Rotary funding is monitored on many different levels. Funds are overseen by Rotarians, clubs, districts, and Rotary staff. Larger projects are even reviewed and audited by Rotarian professionals that work within the area of focus and can give expert guidance and evaluations. Rotarian auditors sometimes perform audits to ensure spending is being used correctly. All of these measures ensure that the funds you give to the Rotary Foundation do good in the world. Local and international projects. Rotary helps people in need throughout the world. The share system and grant model allow for projects to take place in your backyard or across the globe. The international component and ability to help those in need around the world is unique, and Rotarians have made their foundation extraordinary in its capacity to focus on needs in developed and developing countries. Rotarians equal service above self. People join Rotary for a number of reasons. However, a common thread amongst all Rotarians is that the idea and concept of putting the needs of others who are less fortunate first. Service above self. Rotarians do this through commitment of time, expertise, coordination, and financial contributions that result in humanitarian projects, vocational training, and educational scholarships. Rotarians are the Rotary Foundation. Contributing to the Rotary Foundation each and every year is demonstrating your commitment to service above self and a commitment to helping those in need. Let's take a look at what your contributions can do. We hope every Rotarian is willing and able to support the annual fund with any level of contribution that is good for them every year. But knowing what your impact is can be hard. Here are some examples of what $100 per year can help provide. 3 backpacks filled with school supplies for primary school children in Honduras. 50 malaria diagnostic tests to prevent, diagnose, and treat malaria in Mali. Or 1 biosand filter and water hygiene training for a family in Peru. The first way you can get involved is by contributing to the annual fund yourself. I see that many of you on this call are already contributing, and we thank you for your contributions. Another great way to engage with your foundation is to volunteer for a local project. In this image, a project recipient selects a fresh head of cabbage at a food bank in Seattle, Washington, USA, that is supported by Rotary First Harvest, a project of District 5030. Your club is probably already doing many just like this in your community, and you can help by getting involved today. Now think about your club. What does your club know about the annual fund? Do they have a lot of knowledge, or do they need more information? Help educate club members by sharing resources such as this webinar and other club members, or asking them to participate in a service project funded by a Rotary grant to see the foundation in action. How can you interest others in supporting the annual fund? Then, how can you interest them in giving? Knowledge is power. Give examples of what their gift can do, and share why you support the Foundation's mission of doing good in the world. These are very impactful ways of introducing the annual fund and what it can accomplish. Before we transition over to our next panelist, PDG Eric Wood, let's talk a little bit about your club. Has your club set goals in Rotary Club Central? Again, please select an answer that applies to you and click Submit. And if you are on an iPad, please respond via the question pane. %70 of you said yes. That is wonderful. Thank you so much. I think we can all agree that supporting the annual fund is extremely important. But sometimes it's difficult to know how to begin giving in your club. Let's hear from our next panelist, PDG Eric Wood. Eric, can you share a few ways that your club strengthened giving?
Yes, thank you, Amanda. The concept of individual giving to our foundation is, I'm pleased to say, gaining momentum in many clubs in our district, with the numbers of individuals making personal donations on the increase. We have endeavoured to simplify the process in several ways, making it easier for members to participate. For example, the use of foundation money boxes, where individuals place $2 a week, less than a cup of coffee. Returning the completed box to the club for on-sending to the foundation in the name of the individual. Membership of the District Paul Harris Society is also available to individuals who agree to monthly donation via a debit to their bank account, providing a minimum of US $1,000 per year. Another easy way to make an individual donation to the foundation is the inclusion of an option to add $100 or more to the statement of club dues. making it possible to pay your club dues and give to the Rotary Foundation at the same time. The individual becomes a Rotary Foundation sustaining member, and all contributions count toward Paul Harris Fellow recognition and onwards. My first tip to get people involved is to be enthusiastic. We have such a fantastic product to sell. It's impossible to be anything but enthusiastic about our foundation. Apart from anything else, no foundation that I've been able to find gives you money back after 3 years to use as you wish on local or international projects. Be prepared to lead by example. Personally, I never expect anyone to do more than I'm willing to do myself. I donate to our foundation, which makes it easier for me to ask others to do the same. Here in Australia, donations to our foundation through the Australian Rotary Foundation Trust attract tax deductibility status. But when talking to people about making a donation and about the Rotary Foundation, make sure the message is up to date and relevant. It's of no use importing a message containing out-of-date information or incorrect statements. Many Rotarians seem to have a difficulty with asking. We all know very few Rotarians ever ask people to join our clubs. In the same way, very few Rotarians ask others to donate to the foundation. I believe it's the easiest way. Just ask. For example, this time last year at the District 9600 Foundation Seminar, I asked for support to conduct a Rotary $1 Million dinner in Brisbane. I received total support, and the result was an outstanding success, with the first ever $1 Million dinner in Australia raising in excess of US $1.63 million in bequests and donations from just 2 districts, 9600 and 9630. We had the pleasure of hearing from the wonderful RIVP Anne Matthews as our keynote speaker. We now have a $1 Million dinner planned for 2016, involving 5 districts in Queensland and through to Darwin, and also in almost every district in Australia and New Zealand. Of course, you don't just ask, you must also thank those who took part. As Sandy said before, it is so easy to say thank you, and such a great thing to say and mean what you say. And people who are thanked appreciate it. I also have a standing friendly, I guess, competition, if you like, between a couple of clubs, my own club and my successor's club, who's the incoming District Rotary Foundation chairman. And this year, our annual giving by our members, my club reached first in the district for individual donations, and the Rotary Club of my successor has come a very close second. I'm sure he's going to aim for first place next year. Finally, the use of funds for local club projects should be emphasised. For example, we currently have a global grant of just over $320,000 US for vaccination of 20,000 girls in Papua New Guinea against cervical cancer. This global grant was put together by the Rotary Club of Bribie Island in our district, but has received support from a number of districts, including those from the United States. Also, the majority of projects conducted through district grants are local club projects. So again, the money is spent in our local regions.
Thank you, Eric. Those are some wonderful tips for getting your club involved with the foundation. Now in this next slide, we have the top 4 tips coming from staff. Tip number 1, share your Rotary story. Know why you are a part of Rotary and share that with others. Here are some tips for telling your story. 1, set the stage. Where and when did your story take place? Who is it about? Establish a clear protagonist at the heart of the story. 2, introduce the tension point. Describe the moment when something unexpected or difficult occurred. 3, explain what happened next and what changed. 4, show how the change affected the main characters. 5, end the story. Check that it illustrates the message you want to convey. Don't make a grand statement, but connect your story to the bigger picture. Staff tip number 2. We all have reasons for why we support a particular cause or charity. Inspire others to give by sharing why you support the Rotary Foundation. Staff tip number 3. Make sure to appoint a club foundation chair that is knowledgeable and passionate about the foundation. They can help with educating members and organizing fundraising events. Additionally, they can help when money is coming in. A lot of times, clubs like to collect Rotarians' money and send it in all together. The club foundation chair can assist to make sure that all of the money is sent in correctly and in a timely manner. Staff tip number 4, know your donor history. Just as you look at your bank statement, keep track of your history to see if there have been any mistakes and keep yourself up to date with your own giving history. Now we have reached the questions portion of the webinar. Again, please feel free to start typing your questions into the question pane. I will start with some questions we have already received. A good question we have received from a Rotarian is, how do I find out if everyone has contributed? A great report for that is on Rotary.org. You can see the EREY eligibility report or the club recognition summary. Either of these reports will be able to tell you who has given. Another great question we have received is, can you give an example of a program that is funded through the World Fund? The World Fund is our source for our match for all the global grants that are funded by the Rotary Foundation. So this could be a global grant that happens in Uganda with an international partner here in Evanston. This could be a global grant that happens in Sweden with an international partner in France. These, again, are funded and directed by Rotarians with the match from the World Fund. There are also educational scholarships that are funded by the World Fund. And again, a portion of this can also go to the Polio Plus Fund at the trustee's discretion. Another wonderful question that we have received is, if I give $10 to the annual fund and then later give $90 to the annual fund, do I qualify as an EREY member? The answer is yes, you do. When looking at these cumulative banners, the EREY Sustaining Member banner, which is a new banner this year, only requires that everybody give $100 to the annual fund, and this is over the course of the entire year. This is slightly different than the EREY banner used to be, which was just that everybody gives something. To replace that banner, we have the Foundation Giving banner, which just encourages everyone give to some fund of the Rotary Foundation, whether it be Polio Plus or the annual fund. We have another question. Is the automatic bank account debit still available in Rotary Direct? Rotary is currently ramping up this option as a result of frequent requests for this service after resolving some technical restrictions with our vendors. Rotary staff is developing the forms necessary to process these kinds of gifts in U.S. and in Canada. You can expect updates in early 2016. Oh, we have another wonderful question. What is the endowment fund, and how is it different from the annual fund? This is a question, as a gift officer, that I get quite often. When you give a gift to the Rotary Foundation, you can designate this to many different funds. We have been highlighting the annual fund in this talk, but there is also the endowment fund and the Polio Plus fund. What we like to say about the endowment fund is that it is money for tomorrow. It ensures the long-time viability of the Foundation's grants and programs. The spendable earnings from this endowed fund also enable the Foundation to expand existing activities and occasionally underwrite new ones, like the Rotary Peace Centers. The contributions are invested in perpetuity, and then a percentage of the total value of the fund is directed annually to Foundation grants and programs. The types of contributions can be outright gifts of cash, investments, or other property, life income gifts, i.e. charitable remainder trusts, charitable gift annuities, or pooled income funds. They can be gifts through wills or estate plannings, or we can be the beneficiary of life insurance, retirement plan accounts, or financial accounts. Oh, this is one of my favorite questions. How does the Rotary Foundation stack up against other charitable organizations? This is one of my favorite questions because I have a fantastic answer. The Rotary Foundation is among the largest and most impactful in the world. It funds over 1,400 projects in the 13-14 year, and over $234 million was dispersed in grants. That is more than the J.P. Morgan Chase Foundation, more than the MacArthur Foundation. So we stack up pretty well against many other charitable foundations. In addition to that, Charity Navigator, a watchdog for nonprofits in the United States, has given us their highest ranking of 4 stars. Now we have a question for PDG Sandy. What steps did PDG Sandy take to increase the Paul Harris Society memberships?
First of all, what we did is we created a goal, a district-wide goal, to have 300 Paul Harris Society members within 3 years. Secondly, we chose a very outstanding leader to our Paul Harris Society chair to keep us on this. Third, we used numbers that we received from the Rotary Foundation and some special slicing and dicing of those numbers by Amanda Runge to help us focus in on the people who were potential members. Then what is we reached out to those people with some mass communications about what it meant to be a Paul Harris Society member and created recognition events. I mentioned that we have one coming up on Thursday. Small gatherings, for example, we had a Valentine dessert in someone's home last year, and there were about 100 people in attendance. So then we also asked the Paul Harris Society members to recruit other members. And so it's been kind of a trickle-down effect, and it's the thing right now that is being talked about in the district. And how wonderful it is to have an ongoing annuity of $300,000 per year. That's going to bring $150,000 EF. And so the whole time we are also not just asking for funds, but we're also then letting people know with our annual success bulletin or our annual report, pictures, stories, this is where your $1,000 is going. So they're hearing what the difference that $1,000 can make. And they're hearing it from leadership, they're hearing it from fellow Paul Harris Society members, and they're meeting those people at special gatherings, and they're having ongoing communication from our district governor on a weekly basis and on a monthly basis.
Thank you so much, Sandy. We got a wonderful question about the CRS report, or the club summary. Clearly, I need a bit more coffee, although I have no excuse considering we have panelists and audience members here from Australia. The Club Recognition Summary is a great tool for your club foundation chair to use, but there are a few important things to keep in mind. The most importantly being, these are not dollar amounts. In this column, you see the recognition amount. This is what determines the donor's recognition level, i.e. whether they're Paul Harris Fellow, Paul Harris Fellow +1, etc. In the column to the right, it shows how many points the donor has that they can transfer to other people. A pro tip, think of making people in your community who aren't Rotarians Paul Harris Fellows for the good works they have done. Then they are not only honored, but it introduces Rotary to new people. There are some other helpful hints you can see on this report. If you look on the far right, it will tell you who is signed up for Rotary Direct. On top, you have a quick reference to Paul Harris Fellows, benefactors, bequest society members, major donors, Rotarian donors, non-Rotarian donors, and all-time giving. Wonderful information you can use as a gauge to see how engaged your members are and in what area. Now, I did get a quick question about points, and I just want to touch on that very briefly. Recognition points are points that you receive every time you have given $1 to the Rotary Foundation. For example, if you give $1,000, you become a Paul Harris Fellow and you receive 1,000 points that you can give away to make someone else a Paul Harris Fellow. Moving right along, we're going to have another question for our panelists. Do Sandy or Eric have any suggestions on getting non-givers on board?
I was waiting for Eric.
I still believe.
I was
no, I was waiting for you, Sandy. You go first.
You know, I think that actually becomes a club responsibility. The first thing we like to do in District 595 is make sure that all of the board members for each Rotary made their commitment. That is something that our district governor addresses when they meet with the board in conjunction with their club visits. So in other words, leadership. Then we encourage them to go through the reports that are provided by the Rotary Foundation, looking through the reports as a board, identifying any person who has not made a gift, and then inviting one of the board members to actually meet one-on-one with that person. We only have about a half dozen clubs in our district that have where 100% of the members are making a gift. We hope to increase that, but that's what we're doing to increase that and to have every club be a 100% giving club.
Yeah, I agree. I guess the easiest, as I said earlier, the easiest thing is to ask. I think you really you do have to look at the people in your own club. I don't believe it's a club thing at all. I think it's the individual Rotarians that need to consider asking other people to support our foundation, because it is our charity. It's easy to do. We can show what the benefits are just by looking around. Our district grants, the global grants I mentioned earlier that all the districts have got, the good works that are being done, the peace centres around the world. We've got so much for which we can be enthusiastic. It's up to us to go out and speak to the other people and get those people to join us in donating funds to the foundation.
Thank you so much. Now we are getting a couple questions regarding the new banners. And there are two new banners this year. One is the 100% Foundation Giving. This banner is awarded to clubs that achieve an average of $100 given by each person and 100% participation with every active member. But they can give not just to the annual fund, but to the Polio Plus Fund, an approved global grant, or the endowment fund. This annual banner recognition is awarded at the conclusion of every Rotary year. Now the new EREY banner is called 100% EREY Sustaining Club. And this one is very straightforward. Every member must give $100 to the annual fund. And again, this banner is awarded at the end of the Rotary year. We have a question that says, what is that the treasurer should transfer EREY funds to the foundation? Very good question. The answer is as early as possible. It is very important to get all monies in as early as possible because our accounts receivable department needs to be able to take all of those donations at the end of the year and have them posted as quickly as possible. We want all of this, the end of year complications, to be minimized to as little as possible. So please make sure that that money goes straight from the treasurer to the Rotary Foundation. And again, if you want to help the treasurer out, please promote Rotary Direct. That way, Rotarians can be directly involved in their giving. Again, Rotary Direct can be charged or debited from the person's account annually, quarterly, or monthly. Another question, what is the difference between the Polio Plus and annual funds? Can one designate their annual fund money to go to Polio Plus? Well, one cannot designate their annual fund money to go directly to Polio Plus, but after the annual fund money is invested for 3 years, 50% of that money will come back to your district in DDF. That DDF can then be used partly for the Polio Plus fund. So in some ways, you can give to both. One of the issues we have is that many members don't access Rotary.org and so don't know their Rotary ID. Is the number required for manual, i.e. snail mail giving? Well, no, the number is not required, but again, we want as much information as possible so that we, while our accounts receivable department is processing these payments, we make sure to post them to the right accounts. If people haven't logged into Rotary.org, they should still be receiving the Rotarian magazine. On the back of that magazine, their Rotary ID number will be on the mailing label. Let's see if we have any further questions. A very good question about non-member donations. That also works for members as well. If we have a non-member donate to the foundation, how can we update their address? Well, anyone who gives to the Rotary Foundation is given an account once they donate. They can update anything in an account by emailing datacorrections@rotary.org. Again, that's datacorrections@rotary.org. And that's for all Rotarians. Anyone who wants to update a phone number, or if we're not using the correct email address, please feel free to send us that information so that we can have the most updated information in our system. And we are going to do one more question.
Right, and that was actually next. That was next on my list. That's fine. Just like I said, keep in mind the only reason I really.
One more question, and it will be about points. Are recognition points awarded for a contribution to the Polio Plus Fund? And yes, they are.
Throwing it out there, you want to make sure.
You get foundation points when you give to the annual fund, the Polio Plus Fund, or an approved global grant. Just not the endowment fund. Well, I want to thank you so much. And we have a couple more resources for you. Some important resources to remember are, again, your donor history report. Please visit Rotary.org and in specific, the annual fund page, the Every Rotarian Every Year brochure, and the foundation fax card, which is my personal favorite. These can be found at shop.rotary.org. Action items. What do we do after this webinar is done? Please share what you have learned. Promote giving to the annual fund this month. Support the annual fund. And again, run your donor history report. As a Rotarian, I hope you feel proud about what you are helping to accomplish. I hope you now understand why every gift from every Rotarian does a world of good. Please join me and every Rotarian in supporting our Rotary Foundation every year. Thank you. Thank you, Sandy and Eric, for coming and speaking with us today and giving us all of your wonderful ideas. I hope you all, wherever you are in the world, have a wonderful day. Thank you for attending.